Hello everyone, NoahNovels here, and welcome back to my Revue Starlight episode discussion and analysis series. Today we will be going over episode 5 of the anime, titled Is Shine Even Possible?, in what may be the longest video in this series so far. Also, this does not relate to the episode really in any way, but check out this cool poster of Karuko my friend got me for my birthday. Like I said, no relevance to the episode, I just wanted to flex this pretty poster of one of my favorite Revue Starlight characters. With that being said, let's hop into the discussion of this episode. The episode begins with Mahiru dreaming of the first performance of Starlight. She is visibly nervous, but is comforted by Karen, who appears to shine as she tells Mahiru it'll be okay, because they'll be together forever. Mahiru wakes up from her dream to find Karen and Hikari gone from their room, a stark contrast to the pleasant dream she was just having. We cut to Saisho where Futaba and Karuko are surprised to see that Karen and Hikari have arrived before everyone else and are already preparing for the day, much to Mahiru's bewilderment after arriving herself. Everyone else begins to arrive, and Karen tells Maya that she will catch up to her, filled with newfound determination after the repairing of her relationship with Hikari in the last episode. I love this moment, and Maya's response welcoming the challenge is just such a great way of showing the camaraderie amongst all the stage girls. Even if they must battle each other in the revues to obtain the title of top star, at the end of the day, they're all just a group of people who are passionate about the art of theater, and that's great to see, especially as the series goes on. Mahiru calls out to Karen, and she once again sees her shine just as she did in her dream prior. Cue the opening. We get a montage of the rest of the characters noticing Karen's newfound determination, trying harder during class and practice, practicing early in the morning before any classes begin, she is no longer napping during class, and she practices after school until the late hours. I'm sick of the word practice. I'm gonna practice never saying it again. Damn it. I especially like this shot during the montage, the one where we see Karen running as Mahiru looks at her from afar. Maybe I'm reading too much into a simple cutaway shot, but for me it seems like a good representation of how out of reach Karen feels to Mahiru now that she's reignited her close relationship with Hikari and her resolve to become a star with her. Pair this with a perplexed Mahiru looking at Karen during other shots on this montage, and it's clear to see that Mahiru isn't exactly on board with whatever's going on with Karen. I like that the show doesn't feel the need to spell that out via dialogue, but rather by showing us through shots of this montage. That is good storytelling and character building right there. Mahiru gets a package from her parents containing the two essentials for any stage girl: potatoes and a letter. The letter is from her grandmother, who hopes that Mahiru can enjoy the potatoes with Karen and the rest of her friends. In the letter is also a DVD that Mahiru's grandmother found while she was cleaning at home, a DVD which Mahiru plays at night after everyone else has already gone to sleep. The DVD seems to be a recording of a local news station, featuring none other than our potato-receiving stage girl, Mahiru. The feature is about Mahiru, who just got accepted into Saisho Music Academy. It talks about her family, how her talent for theater and baton twirling blossomed as she grew older, and how this all resulted in her acceptance into the prestigious Saisho Music Academy, where many stars have been born. The last we see of this feature for now is the interviewer asking a very nervous Mahiru what type of star she wants to be. Before we can see Mahiru's answer on the recording though, present-day Mahiru shuts the TV off, and we see her solemn reflection on the black screen. I love the contrast of this sequence, being shown a bright, happy, and hopeful Mahiru before the video is abruptly stopped and we see Mahiru for where she's at currently, alone in a dark room. It's a jarring and effective way of showing just how lost and abandoned Mahiru feels currently. A far cry from the nervous but seemingly cheery and optimistic girl we were just watching on the recording. The next day, we see Futaba and Claudine practicing lines from Starlight as Mahiru watches from a distance lost in thought. Mahiru reflects on how everyone else at Saisho is so talented, which is visually represented in this same shine particle things or whatever shine was emitted from Karen previously in this episode being emitted by Futaba and Claudine as well. Also, pairing these two particular characters together is a fun way of subtly foreshadowing some of the events of the next episode, which had been set in motion since their interaction back in episode 3. Continuity is fun. Mahiru sees Karen and Hikari practicing and pictures herself in Hikari's position, watching Karen shine once more before being snapped back to reality. The next scene shows us Mahiru eavesdropping on a conversation between Nana and a couple classmates, discussing the matter of who should play the two lead characters in this year's production of Starlight. Nana insists on them being played by Maya and Claudine as they were in last year's production, whereas her two classmates think it should be Karen and Hikari, and that they shouldn't just cast the same two people as last time, because it is their mission as stage crew to develop the stage and push themselves forward in new directions. Nana looks displeased at the idea of Karen and Hikari playing the leads, and she's not the only one. Mahiru sees a vision of Starlight being performed with Karen and Hikari playing the leads as she's watching from the side, heartbroken as she should be the one by Karen's side, not Hikari. Karen and Hikari both walk away from Mahiru while holding hands, and the stage closes as Mahiru calls out Karen's name before waking up from her nightmare. Mahiru was once again alone in their shared room, and she's caught just casually calling Karen's name into her pillow by Hikari, who came back into the room because she forgot something. After attempting to murder Hikari via pillow, we see Karen once again giving it her all during classes, and Mahiru rushes over to her with a towel when she gets a quick break. Karen's best purple-haired friend Juna asks her to come over to practice some more, and Karen leaves the now sweat-covered towel with Mahiru. It sounds gross when I say it like that. Karen gives back the towel a dear friend of hers gave to her, which she used to wipe sweat off her. Okay, yeah, never mind, there's really no elegant way to say this. Karen gives Mahiru a sweaty towel as she walks away. Mahiru smiles as Karen once again leaves her side. Then, she just looks really longingly at the sweat-covered towel. However, her admiration is interrupted by Hikari, who kinda just teleports to where she is and walks away. Being the best stage girl requires many skills, one of which is teleportation to areas with creepy activity, I guess. Mahiru, in order to try and dispose of the evidence, I guess, chucks the towel away from her onto Karoko's face. It should have been me, damn it! I'm just kidding. I don't want Karen Hijo's sweaty towel on my face. That was silly. I should probably just take that out of the script. What am I doing with my life? Are my parents proud of me? I mean, I'm spending my free time on videos about visual novels and anime about emotional theater girls who sing a lot, and why do I keep going on? Anyways, the next scene sees Mahiru alone in a locker room. Karen runs to her locker, grabs a sip of water from her water bottle, then leaves Mahiru behind to go practice some more, leaving the door to her locker wide open. It sure is a good thing that there's no one who's gonna try and do something creepy with her water bottle. Damn it, Mahiru! After checking to make sure no one else is around, Mahiru grabs Karen's water bottle and gets just so close to taking a sip out of it herself, before Hikari does her usual teleportation thing and appears at a nearby locker, having forgotten something again. Mahiru once again tosses her object of admiration, before finally breaking down and asking Hikari to give Karen back to her. And this scene is honestly so sad and explains so much about Mahiru's obsession over Karen. She says Hikari is good at singing, dancing, performing, teleporting out of nowhere, pretty much everything. But she has nothing. All she has is Karen. And she begs Hikari not to steal the one source of shine in her life. I know I joked a lot the past minute or so about how kind of creepy Mahiru was towards Karen's stuff, and while I do still stand by what I said, I do think you understand why she acted that way after this moment. To Mahiru, Karen is almost this idol or symbol of worship. The one thing, or crap, Karen is not a thing, she is a person. Karen is the one person who gives Mahiru's life at Saisho meaning or purpose, and it's being stolen away from her by Hikari. This childhood friend that she didn't even know about is taking away the one person that makes Mahiru feel like she's special, or worth anything. And that's heartbreaking when you think about it. In other words, Mahiru did nothing wrong. Video over. Is what I would say if this episode didn't have roughly 10 minutes of emotional Mahiru content to show us. Hikari responds calmly to Mahiru's breakdown or confession, saying that she shouldn't use the word steal lightly. And before we could have gotten to see things escalate to a good old-fashioned fistfight between the two of them, the notification sound we all know and love begins to play. And as a wise man typing up a script to a video discussing and analyzing episode 5 of the Revue Starlight anime once said, it's review time. Let day 4 of the auditions, featuring the review of Jealousy and the song, Love's Wicked Pitch, begin. Oh, and real quickly, I want to give mad props to Mahiru's voice actress, Haruki Iwata. Her performance in the scene I was just talking about was absolutely fantastic. Her voice is such a great fit for Mahiru's character, and as we're about to find out in the episode, she is an amazing singer as well. Big shocker considering the series, I know, but I did still want to say it. As the instrumentals to Love's Wicked Pitch, or Koi no Maku, begin, we see Karen do her usual self-introduction, before Mahiru introduces herself with a little monologue basically reciting everything we know about her character up to this point, that she really likes Karen. The oversimplification to end all oversimplifications. She does say she also likes the stage of theater though, so it's good to know she has hobbies other than obsessing over Karen. She has at least one. Karen seems surprised to see that Mahiru is her opponent in today's audition, and a very childlike, for lack of a better word, set appears around Mahiru. I'm not exactly sure if childlike was the best word to describe the set that surrounds Mahiru, but I think taking a look at what I'm talking about, you'll see what I mean when I use that word. It's very simple, I guess? Like, it's not bad, but it feels like the sort of pretty but rough drawings a child might create, which matches well with Mahiru's attitude in this review that we're about to see. They give off like these innocent, almost naive vibes, you know? Maybe I should rename this video to NoahNovels doesn't know what the hell he's talking about. Anyways, after this set appears, Mahiru starts putting on a kinda creepy solo act using these cutouts of herself and Karen, and the review begins with Karen running away from Mahiru. I'd say that's a fair reaction. As Karen tries to get away but ultimately fails, the vocals finally kick in for Love's Wicked Pitch, and surprise surprise, I love this song so much. I'm not really the best when it comes to describing music, which is ironic considering what series I'm talking about in these videos, but Koi no Maku feels like a combination of jazz and swing music, and this song more than any other in this series really does feel like something I would hear in a Broadway musical. This style and tempo of music fits Mahiru's character very well. It gives the whole atmosphere of this review a more lighthearted feeling, as opposed to all the others which feel like epic and desperate fights to come out on top. And that's because, for Mahiru, this isn't about becoming the top star. She just wants Karen back and doesn't really care about taking others down in this series of review auditions, which is why she acts so childlike and innocent throughout this whole review. This is further cemented by the childlike set dressing I was talking about earlier that comes up throughout the entire review. Her behavior and the backgrounds all give this review a distinct feeling compared to the others, because Mahiru's motivation is so vastly different compared to the majority of the characters in the show, and I love it for that. Also, Mahiru's innocent behavior and excessive laughing further adds to those kinda creepy vibes she was giving off earlier, which I really like. Even if it does seem over the top, we understand just how important Karen is to Mahiru, so this behavior does make sense. And I like that it builds Mahiru up as an opponent for this review. It could be very easy to dismiss her or not take her seriously due to how she acts once the review starts in proper, or the childlike sets I've been talking about, but showing us this slightly unhinged side to her character makes it so we still feel a sense of danger or uncertainty when it comes to facing her. After all, motivations aside, these review auditions are still battles between characters, and in order to take a battle seriously, I need to feel some sense of uncertainty when it comes to who the victor will be. And Mahiru's creepy and yandere-like behavior at the beginning of this review, which feels like a natural escalation and payoff of everything she's been through and done in this episode up to this point, does just that. It's also just really entertaining, especially Karen's initial reaction. Also, the instrumentals leading up to the review's start are really good too and helps build that ominous, creepy atmosphere I've been talking about. The first minute or so of the instrumentals to Love's Wicked Pitch are heavy and suspenseful build-up, but that eventually transitions into the swing and jazz-like music of the rest of the song thanks to some very silly-sounding brass. Again, it's further good build-up of Mahiru as an opponent for Karen in this review, and it also just keeps viewers like me guessing exactly what direction this song and review are gonna go in upon the first watch of this episode. I like series and stories that can keep me guessing, and Revue Starlight manages to do just that. But anyways, back to this delightfully fun and weird review. Karen tries to get away from Mahiru but is batted around like a baseball. And in doing so, she winds up falling into the reviews of the other girls. And the fact that these probably intense and fast-paced review battles are being interrupted by this borderline comedy show of Karen running away from Mahiru only to be knocked around like a baseball is so funny to me. And it also further cements the contrast in tone and atmosphere between this Revue of jealousy and an average Revue battle in the show. Revue Starlight is not a predictable or formulaic show, and I feel like the creators really wanted to hammer that in with this drastically different Revue literally crashing in and interrupting the Revues happening off screen, which are usually meant to be serious and important affairs. And again, putting all that aside, it's just insanely fun and entertaining to watch. Mahiru and Karen eventually find themselves in a Revue between Hikari and Claudine, and Hikari gets struck down by Claudine after getting distracted by the antics of these two. I love how the lighting for this next part is noticeably darker than how it's been for the Revue up to this point, and that's because this moment reels back the comedy, as Mahiru is painfully reminded of who she thinks is more important to Karen. This scene is honestly so sad. She asks Karen to go back to the way she was before Hikari came to Saisho, to oversleep, be late for class, and to be dependent on Mahiru. In her despair and desperation, she's actively asking Karen to become a more flawed version of herself. And as we quite obviously know, Mahiru cares about Karen a lot. So her begging Karen to become the version of herself we saw in episode 1, we know that's not normally something that Mahiru would want. And the fact that she's actually saying these things shows just how alone she feels and how desperate she is to have Karen back by her side. This quiet but emotionally painful moment is so jarring after how bright and upbeat the majority of this Revue so far has been. And that sudden shift in tone makes this important moment hit that much harder. I may have been saying that this Revue has been fun up to this point, and I do still think that, but these Revues are meant to explore these characters and have them change or develop, and also in some cases build upon the themes of the show. And Mahiru's Revue of jealousy is no different. As Karen gets a second win thanks to seeing Hikari and remembering the promise the two of them made, Karen begins singing as well, and her and Mahiru are sent to another childlike set area. The two have this really well choreographed fight sequence before crashing through the childlike backdrop. And before we head into the final act of this Revue, let's talk about Mahiru's Revue weapon real quick since I forgot to earlier. I believe it's called a mace, but the thing I want to draw attention to is the fact that it's more of a blunt object compared to the rest of the weapons of the stage girls. Throughout the majority of this Revue, she's used it more like a baseball bat rather than a weapon to actively try and knock off the button of Karen's jacket. And that's because, once again, she's not really in these Revues to defeat everyone else and take the title of top star for herself. Right now, she just wants Karen back. And I think her weapon and how she uses it in this Revue reflects that extremely well. That's not to say it can't be used to knock the buttons off the jackets of the other stage girls in combat, but its blunt ending along with how Mahiru uses it in the Revue are a great reflection of her character and what she's going through in this episode. I just wanted to talk about that briefly. Revue Starlight obviously puts a lot of thought into every detail of the story and its characters, and I'm sure I've still missed plenty going throughout these videos because my brain is small and can only process so much Revue information at once. So I just want to make sure I talk about everything that stands out to me. Feel free to tell me about all the things I've missed or misinterpreted in the comments and out me as an idiot. I probably deserve it. Anyways, back to the Revue. After crashing through the backdrop, Mahiru and Karen continue to battle as Mahiru confesses to Karen that she doesn't have any shine of her own. So without Karen, she will truly be nothing. And Karen doesn't waste a moment in refuting that. She immediately begins to list all the things she finds great about Mahiru. Her warm singing voice, her dance steps filled with sunshine, and her vivacious acting. She spouts her usual non in response to Mahiru saying she has nothing, and tells her that she's radiant and shines just as much as everyone else in their class. And I teared up while typing this script, and I'm currently while I'm recording this audio. I know I say this a lot about the characters or their struggles in Revue Starlight, and I will continue to say it, but Mahiru's whole character and arc throughout this episode hits so hard for me. I struggle with self-confidence so much. Almost every day, I find myself feeling like I have nothing to offer in life or what I want to do. That I have nothing that makes me unique, special, or important. You name a positive adjective, I'll tell you it doesn't apply to me. And whenever I look back on the videos on my channel, I find myself often cringing or thinking that they're subpar. Even these Revue Starlight videos, which I really enjoy making, I feel like they could be so much better. Not in terms of editing, OtakuBox is doing a killer job with that. I mean in terms of content and the actual script. I'm honestly surprised that I've continued with these videos up to this point with how much I doubt myself. I guess that goes to show how unhealthily obsessed I am with Revue Starlight and visual novels. Also, I really love seeing how the videos end up looking with OtakuBox's editing. It's really fun and he does not disappoint. For example, I'm sure he edited out that segment where I had a mental breakdown over Karen's sweaty towel earlier without me telling him he needed to because he's just that good and reliable. But getting back on track, It's hard for some people to see the good aspects of themselves. Even if while I was typing up this video script, or recording the audio to it, or any other aspect of the video making process, even if I feel good or confident in what I'm making at the time, I almost always end up looking back on my videos and also just myself not very fondly. It's hard for some people to just accept themselves and the fact that they do have talent, or are special, or are important, or even putting stuff aside like talent or capabilities in whatever they're pursuing. It's hard for some people just to see the good in themselves as people. Period. Even if they objectively know that they do have something that makes them special, or that they are a good person, it's extremely difficult to drown out that self-doubt. Like, I know I just spent a lot of time talking about how I look back on these videos and how I think they could be so much better, but as I'm making this script and trying to look at things objectively, I like to think these videos are pretty good, right? I like to think I'm offering an interesting look or take on this series and what happens in it. Feel free to comment down below that I'm right to give me that sweet, sweet validation that I so desperately crave. Anyways, self-doubt is a hell of a thing to deal with. Even if you really do genuinely believe that you have talent or skill or worth, it's not something that can just be easily brushed away. This is especially true for someone like Mahiru, who is in a school filled with extremely talented people. It can become so easy to convince yourself that you're nothing compared to everyone else. I know I do that a lot, and I'm not even in Saisho Music Academy. Yet. And that's why this episode hits so close to home for me. It's a painfully realistic and emotional portrayal of someone dealing with self-confidence issues. It's how well it's portrayed through Mahiru's character and the writing of this episode that manages to make me feel so bad for her when she talks about how her relationship with Karen is the only thing that makes her feel special, and how even as her behavior becomes comedically creepy at times, I still find myself wanting the best for her. And thankfully, she has someone like Karen to help her out. Sometimes when you can't believe in yourself, it really is the people you surround yourself with that matter the most. Having people who genuinely see the good in you, even when you yourself might think you're worthless, that can make such a huge difference. And thankfully, that's what Karen does for Mahiru. Okay, I've rambled for long enough. It's time to start wrapping things up. I love the fact that as Karen helps Mahiru remember her own reason for wanting to become a star, her own starlight, the backdrop of Karen and Mahiru moves away, and Mahiru begins shining with the same radiance she saw in Karen and the other characters in this episode. She's no longer in the shadow cast by her relationship with Karen, which was quite literally represented with a shadow being cast by the picture of those two in the background. She is just as talented and amazing as everyone else in this series. Mahiru shines radiantly in her own right, no longer being defined by her relationship with Karen. It's a beautiful moment, and I always feel such immense joy on seeing Mahiru's realization of her own self-worth. Mahiru and Karen face off against each other one last time, and Karen ends the Revue of Jealousy as the victor. Man, I love this Revue so much. From the song itself just being very catchy and fitting for Mahiru's whole character arc throughout this episode, to the distinctly different tone that the first half of the Revue has compared to the rest of the Revues in this series, to the way Mahiru comes to realize her own self-worth with Karen's help, it's all just so great. And as always, the singing is amazing. Mahiru and Karen's vocals work so well for this song, and the parts of the song where they're both singing are so good. I love these two as a pair when it comes to singing, and also just as characters, I guess. Back to the episode. I promise I am almost done gushing over how much I love it. Later that night, everyone is enjoying the potatoes sent by Mahiru's parents, and Karen starts watching the DVD that Mahiru was earlier in the episode. While she's embarrassed at first, when she sees what kind of star her younger self says she wants to be, she sees the same shining radiance, stuff that she saw radiating from Karen and everyone else in this episode again. And I love how this episode further cemented how little Mahiru thought of herself by showing this radiant shine coming from Karen and other characters, but never from herself until the end of the Revue of Jealousy and now this moment. Her genuinely being able to see the good aspects of herself, represented in this visible shine coming out of her. In the same recording she felt too depressed to finish earlier, it's such a great way to cap off this episode and have everything come back full circle. Instead of sadly watching this recording alone in a dark room, she's now looking back on this recording fondly, surrounded by her friends who help her when she doubts herself. After Hikari compliments her and tells her that she's shining, Mahiru reflects on herself and her time at Saisho. She takes a bite out of her potato, and she ends the episode confident that she can shine brilliantly on her own, without depending on anyone else. The episode ends with Mahiru's version of Fly Me to the Star, which, much like all the other renditions of the song, is a beautiful and calming way to finish the episode. Dealing with self-doubt or lack of confidence is something extremely challenging. especially in artistic or creative fields like theater. No matter how many times people may tell you not to compare yourself to others, it's very easy to do just that and become discouraged when you can't see yourself on the same level as your peers, especially if it's a competitive type of craft or industry. So showing this realistic and emotional story of a girl dealing with those things, and learning how to overcome it all and embrace herself for who she is and what makes her special, I think that was an extremely powerful and important story on Revue Starlight's part. This show manages to tackle so many different aspects and struggles of pursuing creative and artistic endeavors in unique and powerful ways, and I'm glad to see it handle the topic of self-doubt in such a tasteful and well-written way through Mahiru's character and episode focused on her. There's a reason why I said at the beginning of this video that this may be the longest video in the series yet, and I am only just now getting to the end of it all on page 14 of this script. This episode means a lot to me, in case I haven't made it clear from my non-stop rambling. All these episodes mean a lot to me, especially the next one, but this one just really does a number on me whenever I watch it, in a good way of course. And as always with these videos, there was just a lot to discuss in this episode, and I wanted to make sure I took the proper time to get all my thoughts on it in order. I want to return the time and care that was put into crafting these episodes and overall story with videos that really dig into why I think they're so great and why they're important. I don't call Revue Starlight a masterpiece as hyperbole. I genuinely believe that the impactful story of Revue Starlight and how it's all uniquely conveyed with these well-written characters and their individual episodes make this series something that everyone should see. And how all these episodes come together to form the overall story and themes of Revue Starlight, it's genuinely unlike any other piece of media I've seen. But anyways, I've gone on for long enough. Let's really wrap things up now. As always, thank you so much to everyone for watching these videos. Please tell me down below in the comments what you thought of this video and my analysis or interpretation of episode 5 of Revue Starlight. Is there anything I missed? Anything you disagree with? Or anything that you did agree with and want to expand upon? Since there's so much to discuss and analyze in this amazing series, I'm sure I didn't catch everything, overly obsessed fan as I may be, so I'd love to talk about the show and everyone else's thoughts on it with everyone watching. And now for a bit of an announcement regarding this series. Sadly, it might be a little bit before the next video in this series comes out. In case you missed me talking about it before, I've been experiencing pain and numbness in my right hand whenever I try to do long-form script writing or any type of work on the computer. This has actually been a thing since before the first video in this series was uploaded, and it's only thanks to Otaku Box, who's been doing the editing for these videos, that they've been able to be made up to this point. You see, I had the scripts for the first 5 episodes finished, and was halfway through the script for the 6th episode when I encountered this issue. Naturally, I've included minor editing notes in the previously made scripts for Otaku Box for certain moments and added to the scripts thanking him for his editing work, but those additions and changes were very small and didn't require much extra typing. And sadly, I'm not going to be able to be tested for carpal tunnel until August, so making these video scripts is going to have to take a back seat in my life. I'm still in a film-related program in college which requires me to basically do all my work via computer, so I really should be saving my right hand for that, since finishing and graduating from college is naturally my #1 priority in life right now. And while I could do short bursts of script writing to slowly work on these video scripts, I find I make my best content when I can just go all out, and get all my thoughts and ideas down when they're still fresh in my mind. That's how I've always done my videos, and for now at least. I think I should keep it that way to make these videos the best that they can be. And I know despite saying all this, I did recently upload a spoiler-free review of AI the Somnium Files, which still ended up being a bit on the long side. But the way I approach my scripts for visual novel reviews is very different than how I do with these Revue Starlight videos. With those, I have a very streamlined process where I go through the visual novel section by section, which makes doing short bursts of script writing for those videos much easier and doable than for these videos. Because with these Revue Starlight videos, I'm much less cohesive when I'm making these scripts, if that makes sense. I go back and forth a lot as my thoughts kind of go all around, which requires a lot of rewriting or reorganizing. And when I try to do like that style of script writing in short bursts of time, which is all I would be able to do with how my right hand still is right now, I barely get anything down, or it's just not as good when I can put aside like 1 or 2 days specifically for a Revue Starlight video. And I love this series, and I genuinely owe it so much for how it's helped me through tough times and how it's inspired me. So I really want to be giving these videos my all, so I want to wait until I can make these Revue Starlight scripts again the best that they can be before I start, making them again. I hope that makes sense and doesn't sound like a cop-out answer. I just wanted to explain why you might still see other non-Revue Starlight videos on my channel when I said I can't do very long script writing. And if you notice that me talking about like how I approach script writing sounds, a lot less cohesive than, these videos usually are, it's because I went a bit off script here. And when I try to do that for videos, it typically never goes well because I run out of words halfway through all my sentences. So thank you for bearing with my incoherent thoughts. That all being said, I am still going to try to get good Revue Starlight content on my channel in the meantime to fill in the gap between this Revue Starlight video and the next. Stuff that I can do unscripted, like maybe me and my friend reacting to the recap movie or stage plays which we've never seen, or just rankings and talking about our favorite characters and reviews. Just casual stuff, but still fun to watch review content. I'm not saying any of this is for certain, but I do obviously love this series, and want to keep the discussion of it going on my channel for as long as naturally possible. What can I say? I am obsessed with this beautiful theater anime. Time to wrap things up. This extra section of the script where I'm talking about the state of these videos is actually the most extra typing I've had to do for these scripts, and I'm feeling it in my right hand. Thank you as always to OtakuBox for your great editing work on these videos. A link to his channel is in the description, and he has some really cool content on his channel that I highly recommend checking out. And if you all want to see whatever Revue Starlight and visual novel content I cook up for the future, please consider subscribing to my channel and maybe checking out some of my other videos in the meantime. Thank you as always to everyone watching, and see you all in the next video, whenever that may be.